Hello everybody. I hope you're doing well today. I think we need to get started. I need to get some lectures in the can for you guys. I know you're working on the current homework activity. We're going to call them homework activities now rather than in-class activities. So I want to give you some pieces that might help you with your current activity, which is what? Should we hire or should we train from within? So let's talk about Module 2.3 as it relates to this, and then also we'll move on to the other modules. So this is about as good as it gets for us right now. Let's just see how it works. Oh, also I think we're going to have to get rid of the in-class project. One of you wrote me a nice email last night and kind of explained that maybe that's biting off more than we can chew under these circumstances, and I'm okay with that. So we'll reflect on that. Anyway, let us get started on attracting candidates, and we'll just go through this as we normally would in class, except we're not there, and that's too bad because I really miss being there with you guys. So, the external recruitment, what's the purpose? What do we do? Well, we're going to identify candidates. We have to attract candidates. We have to think in terms of recruitment planning. What is our strategy? So we have to develop that. We have to conduct the search. And then we have to consider applicant reactions. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of these. Recruitment planning. Are we going to do this in-house? Is recruitment something we do? Are we going to farm it out? Are we going to contract someone else to do it? Use a recruitment agency. Either is a viable option. It's going to depend on your budget and who you're looking for and what you expect to find. Most do in-house recruiting, but agencies are available to do it. In-house has potential to cost less. Let's face it, if a contractor is doing it for you, it's their cost to do it plus the profit they intend to make. Also, you know, you might get a cookie cutter kind of approach from an external contractor, where if you're doing this internally and you're skilled, you have the potential to recruit better matches right off the bat. Smaller business more likely to use external agency or source, in that they probably don't have the resources, the training, or the motivation to do it on their own. So you might use private agencies or public agencies and alliances. Maybe you contract with the state unemployment division and ask them for, and then they start to send you candidates depending on the state you're in. Now, a couple things to consider. Big picture, we look at the organization. Is it centralized or decentralized? Are we doing everything in one location, or are we spread out through the country? Think about recruitment efforts. If we're doing the work, let's say from Columbus, but we're recruiting for an Ann Arbor location, how are we going to negotiate that? So that's something to consider. If we centralize the process, we can eliminate duplication of effort. But if each one of our subunits is in a different location and does their own, then much of the effort will have to be done independently. Centralized helps with consistency, and centralized can reduce non-compliance problems. That is, when we have different subunits doing their own thing, are they conforming to the legal standards? Are they using the process as we intend the process to be used? Decentralized may be more timely. That is, they can respond to their own needs. It's one less layer they have to negotiate. They can just get down to it and do it. Decentralized may be more consistent with those sub-business unit needs, right? That, again, the centralized might represent kind of a generic process that is less specific to the subunit. Now, what about recruiting messages? That is, we want to put it out there. We want to attract people. Good recruitment announcements communicate needs and KSAOs clearly. There's no point in recruiting people that don't fit what we're looking for. So if someone doesn't have the KSAOs, then let us not have to deal with them, right? Ensures consistency with the business plan. That is, we communicate in a way that makes sense. Hopefully detailed enough to capture suitable candidates and kind of put off or make it clear to candidates that are not suitable that there's probably not much point in applying. Okay. What's the timing? How long is it going to take? That's the lead time. When do we get started? So if someone says, hey, we're thinking about hiring some bods, you know, and you say, well, that's good, we need to set up a recruiting message, what kind of lead time are you going to give us? So that's a fair question to ask. Record keeping is clutch, right? Historic data is the best place to gather this information. That is, previously we had to do this. So how long did it take us to get started? Look back in your records, and this is why you should keep a timeline of the entire process. How much time will the process take for each participant, right? So if we're going to contact participants individually. Always thinking in terms of time. A lot of people say time is money. I think time is actually more valuable than money. You can make more money, you can't make more time, right? Now what about the number, the type of recruiting context, how many applicants are required? Again, historical records can help. The idea is how many applicants do I need to find X number of suitable candidates? We'll talk about the math in terms of yield ratio down the road. That is, how many recruitment messages yield how many applicants, and how many applicants in fact yield then hireable candidates. The types of applicants, job analysis is the first step, right? So we've got that under our belt. It tells us what the job entails, it develops our person specifications, and that gives us a clue as the best place to look for folks. What types, where do those types of people look for work? And that's most critical to us to understand. Greater proactivity has been shown to create a better impression on applicants. So always proactive, 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 seeking people out. We have these positions, much better than a reactive style. Now what's the budget? And is it top down or bottom up? Top down, management sets the budget and then you work within it. So they say, hey, this is your dollars and you better go with it, right? Well, bottom up is determined by the hiring business unit. So they say we need to recruit candidates as part of the hiring process. How much is it going to cost? And that would be the bottom up. Now, we need to document, and you've got to be getting used to that by now, formal document detailing the process used to recruit is what we're looking at. It clarifies the expectations, it details the costs, who will be accountable for the process as it unfolds, and this will enhance consistency and efficiency. When you have these types of documents, then the individual recruiters or recruiter setup people, in fact, then will operate more consistently on the basis of this. It also facilitates the process flow for record keeping, and again, records. So, beneficial qualities for recruiters. Well, it helps if they have strong interpersonal skills. That is, they can talk to people and engage people in a way that makes people want to listen. They should have a knowledge of the organization so that they can explain what the organization is about to folks and the position, in fact, that's being hired. They have technology skills as appropriate to the task of recruiting. They have strong record-keeping skills. Enthusiasm for the organization. These should be one of the organization's biggest fans in that regard. Let's take a pause. Recruiting strategies then. We're going to do open recruiting versus targeted recruitment. Open, hey, cast a wide net, expending little effort to narrow the field of candidates. Just toss it out there and see what we get. It's perceived as fair. That is, we're not looking at small segments of the subpopulation, small segments of the population and targeting just for them. But hey, come on down, everyone's good. And obviously this can enhance diversity. Can be beneficial in hiring in large numbers. May yield too many applicants of the wrong type as a downside though, and may miss better matched candidates. It's also very time consuming. We've got to weed through a whole heck of a lot more people. So let's think in terms of types of job seekers. Some people are active job seekers. This is defined as they are actively looking for information about job openings. So they're searching. They're using search engines on the net to find various employment opportunities. That's different than semi-passive job seekers who are interested in a new position but only occasionally look for one, right? So they may be somewhat satisfied with where they are right now, and these people may be harder to find because they're not looking all the time. Passive job seekers are currently employed but not actively seeking another job. They could be tempted though if it's the right opportunity. This is where you typically find some of your highest quality candidates, right? It may be difficult to find them and interest them in your job opportunity because they're not looking, so it takes a more outgoing effort. Okay? Now, targeted recruitment, Can target a group that's thought to possess the desired KSAOs. So targeted recruitment, if I'm from General Motors and I hang outside the engineering building at Ohio State, I am targeting my recruitment to a certain area of the campus and probably certain majors, right? And I might communicate to these people more specifically. They can find passive job seekers. I have an email, a couple email lists that I belong to, where they send me jobs all the time, and they send them to me because I work in the area of psychology, right? So they can find me as a passive job seeker, but don't worry, I'm not looking for anything. This can enhance diversity efforts, right? Because if we target, we can target to areas where we might find more diverse candidates. Military personnel is often a great place to look. Military trains people to do an amazing number of jobs and can really save a lot of time in training by having people who are essentially pre-trained to do various jobs. Former employees could be a good source as well. We can target former employees. Maybe they know someone or they themselves are interested. Employment discouraged folks, and these could be people who've been looking for jobs and can't seem to find anything and hope to find anything, and you can see in the software industry this might be something of interest. And then reluctant applicants, maybe people who are not necessarily looking for work. Let's talk a little bit about recruitment sources. Okay. Applicant initiated, walk-ins, call-ins, email-ins. I know that last word is a little problematic, but I don't know. But these are folks that might walk by and say, hey, do you have a job? Hey, are you looking for anybody? Right? And we should be prepared to handle those people. If we have the nature of business that might attract a walk-in, we should already have a process in place. What do we do about walk-ins, right? Or people who generally email? Do we care? Are we going to respond? What is our process for dealing with those folks? How are unsolicited applicants handled is the big issue there. Employee referrals, this is one of the most important sources of applicants. They say, hey, I know someone who could maybe do this job. This is how I was teaching at Columbus State. An employee referral. That is an existing employee at Columbus State, David Tom, asked me if I would in fact take a part-time job, and then when it came time, he said, hey, we've got a full-time position, are you interested, right? So employee referrals. It can be facilitated by bonuses, etc. Need to make employees aware of job searches. That is, we're looking for someone, and most organizations have an internal job posting site that is different than the external job posting site, at least for large organizations. Now, employee networks, social networks such as Jobster, LinkedIn, Facebook can be a source here. Although I just got another email from LinkedIn, and it's the typical thing from LinkedIn. It's like, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it makes me want to scream and sign off of LinkedIn right here and now, but I don't. So, but those are formal. Organizational networks such as the APA can do this as well. Come on, Annika. What else? Informal, typically word of mouth. We hear about a job that might be opening up, or someone's looking for something, so that would be the informal technique. Social nets may lead to legal troubles, too much info that might be inappropriate. So if we're looking at Facebook and people are publishing information in Facebook, then that we shouldn't be part of our applicant process, we might be on a need-to-know basis and end up knowing more than we need to know. Okay. Recruiting advertisements, newspapers, magazines. There's a cost involved with this, and advertising in either of these can be quite expensive. Right? They need to reflect the demographic desires, so you have to decide, hey, who am I looking for and what are they likely to read? Now, a lot of advertising salespeople have demographic information so that when they try to sell you ad space, they say, you can ask, well, who's your readership? And you can get an idea if it's consistent with what you're looking for. This is a traditional way to do things, but now employment websites have pretty much taken this over. Yeah, newfangled, if you like that term. Not much in the way of definitive research yet, but there will be more as time goes on. Identity theft can be a problem anytime that we're online in this regard. So, website and other mining, rather than post an ad, This technique searches available resources for suitable candidates. Hang on just a second.